the legendary guy I want to be when I grow up. He said you can't do both, kid. Mr. Moon Griffon is here. Mr. Moon, welcome. Thanks for joining us. How are you today?
It's always a pleasure. I love it. The BS flies early on this program. That's why I love it.
Do me a favor. Let's start off because there is a little bit of a controversy and some remarks you made and apologized for regarding Rouses Supermarket, Rouses grocery chain in South Louisiana. Give us a little background and then tell us what you said. And in fact, you've got all the facts in your head. Fill us in. What happened?
Well, what happened was Donald Rouse Sr. went to the Trump rally, the rally on January 6th. And he went there and had a peaceful rally. He took some pictures, and he left. He wasn't even there when the mess started with a very few people. So he went on Facebook, and one of the groups out of New Orleans, and the Black Caucus in Baton Rouge, the legislature, by the name of Collis Temple. He works for LSU. He was a great LSU great basketball player back in the 70s. And they all started deciding that they were going to now protest Rouses and tell people not to go to Rouses. And so he kind of stood up at first and said, no, all I did was take a snapshot. I wasn't even there. And then they started putting pressure on it. And then the guy from LSU, Collis Temple, told LSU they need to get away from Rouses. Rouses is a big advertiser and sponsor of LSU, and they got a big money deal working. And I caught wind of that, and I thought, man, that is not right. I've been to 2 Trump rallies. They were very peaceful. I love going to them. I had a blast at them. And that particular day, a lot of people were just having fun, praying, singing, and just rallying. Now, what happened at the end had nothing to do with every one of those people. It had to do with a few people. And so that was going well, and then they started the protest. And then all of a sudden, Mr. Rouse goes on a radio station in New Orleans, and he says stuff like, "I made a bad decision to do that."
But wait, Moon, before he did that, you were telling your listeners to go shop at Rouses, right?
Correct. What I did was I said we cover a lot of Rouses area, so when we started doing, we said, "Look, you don't shop at Rouses, go to Rouses." And I went to Rouses 4 or 5 times since this started last week. This is the funny thing, Aaron, from Shreveport, Louisiana, Ruston, Monroe, Alexandria, fans of the program actually went to Rouses in South Louisiana. They were coming down here and decided to make a trip, or they made a trip especially just to go to Rouses.
Wow.
So we will support them, and the people in my audience was going to support them. And then, and you're correct, they did that. So we were behind it for almost a week. And then all of a sudden, Donald Rouse gets on a radio station, and he backtracks. And he says, I made a bad decision going there. He said that the election wasn't stolen. Trump shouldn't have said all the things he said. And I thought, holy cow. The only reason he went to that rally on his own dime was because everybody I talked to that went, they wanted to be heard. They think the election was stolen. They want to be heard. So he backtracked. So at that point, I felt like I let my audience down by telling them to do something that I did, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
So I apologize to the audience for telling them to go support a company that don't stand up. And it's not really the company, but yet now I find out he is one of the owners. So I was disheartened by the fact that you would step down in the name of money. Or what did they tell a man? And,
what's your message to Mr. Rouse today?
Did you vote for Joe Biden? Are you saying you wish you'd have voted for Joe Biden?
Excuse me, Moon, pardon me just a second. Moon, excuse me.
Yes, sir.
Your phone cut out, and when Aaron said, "What's your message to Mr. Rouse?" we didn't get the first part of that answer. So if you could start from the beginning, please.
Sure. No, all I said was what I'll keep telling him was either stand up and man up, or then get off the stage. You shouldn't have been there. Don't go. And, if you feel that way about Trump now, why didn't you vote for Joe Biden? The fact of the matter is, for him to say that he never thought that Trump won the election and that things like that, he was there because he felt the same way. People that went to that deal was mad about the election and the election results and what they feel like they were cheated.
Will Mr. Rouse's change of heart, will that end the boycott? I mean, he's always going to be seen as a Trump supporter in some people's eyes, right?
Well, the boycott's kind of a joke, y'all, and this is what I mean. My brother calls me out of Baton Rouge, and the media covered one of the protests at Rouses. And he was laughing because he said, Moon, there wasn't 10 people there. I think this has a lot to do with LSU, and I don't know if they pay them to cater stuff or they are a big booster by giving LSU money or both. I think it has more to do with LSU, and they don't want to lose their, quote, reputation. I got news for you. They, quote, lost their reputation.
Moon,
and I was really disgusted by the fact that, look, when I say I went to a Trump rally and had a good time, I did. You know, and to back up now and act like that you're not even a part of it and you shouldn't have been there and Trump's a piece of crap, after you know good and well he voted for Trump, supported Trump, and he supported Trump with this election fraud, and all of a sudden now, you know, he's taking it back. So I don't know, guys. It reminded me of Drew Brees. You know why Drew Brees, people got mad at Drew Brees? Drew Brees said, I'm going to stand for the pledge because to honor my daddy and my father-in-law. That was it. And they bombed him, and Drew spent $10 million getting his name back. Drew should have never apologized for any of that. Imagine honoring your daddy and your father-in-law. But this is what happens in this cancel culture society we live in.
Now that you mentioned that, and don't forget, folks, Moon is on today on Keel every weekday, 9 till 11. We always appreciate your time in wrapping up. Mm-hmm. Isn't Rouses, to some degree, Drew Brees, but more specifically Rouses. It's the way that the Democrat cancel culture is going to work in microcosm Rouses, in macro, all of us, to silence Trump supporters, to silence any objections. We will shut you down if you don't remain silent.
Let me just say this. If we get rid of free speech for somebody to be proud of who they voted for, if we get rid of this, every amendment's going to fall and our country will fall. It's the most important amendment of all is people have an opportunity. Me and Aaron don't agree on everything. Mm-hmm. Aaron, you should agree with me on everything, but we don't. My point being is I love Aaron. Aaron likes me. I believe. I don't know if Aaron loves me, but I don't think he likes me. My
Aaron
point
does.
being is we can get along with disagreeing on some stuff. Aaron, don't you agree with that?
Yeah, let me ask you that. When you talk about free speech, then, Moon, you got to say, you know, people are going to kneel for the national anthem. They're going to do it. I don't want to agree with it. I don't like it, but they got a right to do it. This is a free country. Do you feel that way too?
No.
Well, it's free speech.
No.
You can't have free speech both ways, Moon.
I think the kneeling of the national anthem had more to do with making this country look like we're a white supremacist country. And I think if it's done in the right way, you might be right, but I don't think none of it was done in the right way. I think they were protesting our country. And people are trying to get in this country because it's the greatest country of the world. Why do we want to be like all these other countries?
And it goes beyond that, if I can jump in and then let you finish. It goes beyond that. It's not that you respect their right to their free speech. They just don't respect yours. And if you don't agree with them, if you don't go along with them, you're a racist, you're a white supremacist, you're a bigot, and you have to be destroyed.
I'm tired of being called something that I'm not, y'all.
Mm-hmm.
People have done it on my radio program. They've done it on the email. And all I ever tell them, if you approve it, I'll quit. And I mean that. When they prove that I'm a racist, I'm going to quit. I'm going to move on and do something else. But every time I catch somebody saying that, they embarrass themselves trying to prove it. And that's all I'm saying. We've gotten to a culture where I just think political free speech ought to be that. If I love Donald Trump, I should be able to like him. And if you like Joe Biden, you should be able to love him. That's your business. And if you want it to be a Marxist country, then get us there. You're not going to like the results of it. That's the problem with the whole thing.
Moon Griffon coming
up.
up.
This guy backed down. This guy backed down, y'all. And I went out there and stuck my neck out there for him, and people drive from your area to Rouses. Come on, that's what I was apologizing for. I'm sorry I even brought them into it.
Mm-hmm. Moon Griffon, every day, 9 to 11, right here on Keel.